It's always cool to see someone that you knew when they were much younger, and they go on and have tremendous success. LaMichael James, Liberty Ilo High School, University of Oregon, of course, also in the NFL with the 49ers and the Miami Dolphins. He will be a part of the class into the College Football Hall of Fame, and he joins us. Greg Smoak, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak on 365 Sports. LaMichael, great to have you. I haven't talked to you in a long, long time. Covered you when you were at Liberty Ilo with the Leopards, but let's talk about the Hall of Fame. And I know it's been out for a little bit, but what does this mean to you? And thank you for your time today.
Oh, man. Hey, thanks for having me on. I always like to talk to people from East Texas. It's been tremendous, and thanks for covering me when I was at Liberty Ilo back in the corner of East Texas. It's a huge honor just to put East Texas on the map even more, and Texarkana, my high school, Liberty Ilo, and just show kids back home that, you know, you can make it. You don't got to go to the OUs and the Texas. You can venture out and be your own person, and you can make way.
Now, you went to Oregon, and that is, one of the great college football venues and all that. But what was that like from a kid from Liberty Ilo High School to step in to that stadium and the first time out and like, oh my gosh, what is going on here?
Oh man, it was a culture shock. Just coming from East Texas, going to University of Oregon, I'll say Pacific Northwest. It is a completely different environment, just people-wise, football-wise, just everything. It's just completely different. But it allowed me to stay focused and just go out there and grind each and every week. And once you get in the stadium, man, you just try to block out everything. You know, the first game, they always told us that we're going to look in the stands, and I always told myself I wouldn't. But, of course, I did.
LaMichael, you always hear about the relationships, and, you know, I know that's one of the pull when you're being recruited is, you know, the lifetime and the brotherhood and the relationship with the school and all of that. But, I mean, you really seem to have, you know, been as much of an Oregon Duck as possible, and you rep the brand, and you're a great ambassador. And granted, I don't see everything, but it's clear that you made the right choice. But just how important is that to you that was something that lasted beyond your playing days and continues to?
Yeah, we play a violent game and play football, and man, we're all one snap away. And I always try to, you know, pride myself on how I carry myself. And relationships are everything. You know, who's going to cheer for you when you put the ball down? You know, you can't play football forever. Like I said, we're all one snap away. So I just try to be the best person I can be, and I just genuinely love good relationships because you can take those throughout life. And University of Oregon has done a tremendous job of just doing that, not only for myself, but other athletes. And I noticed as I was coming up through the ranks there, like how they take care of their own. You know, if you need a job or you got alumni coming back and want to watch a game, no matter where it is, they always show love. And that just registered to me. And then here I am today.
I don't remember the exact timeline when Oregon put themselves on the map. They have a history in college football, but they jumped right smack in the middle of it. The uniforms, Nike, et cetera. What and how much did that impact Oregon and your decision?
Well, when you know you're an 18-year-old kid and you come from East Texas, you want to wear the swoosh. And this is not the first time I've had this conversation. I've been recruited by, like, you know, Mississippi State, Arkansas recruited me. I just named those two because they were Adidas schools, and I was like so against it. I was like, man, I am never going to wear Adidas because at that time Adidas wasn't as cool. So when you go to University of Oregon and you got Phil Knight and you see everything is Nike, and coming from where I come from, you don't see a lot of that. So once I got there, 2008, it was like a whole different ball game. You got the cleats, the gloves, the headbands, like the vases, and I was like blown away by all of that stuff. And Oregon was like my last official visit, and Oregon compared to everyone else, you know, at this time or at that time, everyone was like laps away from Oregon. So it impacted my decision tremendously.
I'll never forget when you made the run. Liberty Ilo had won a state championship. Brandon Jones, I think, at the time was one of the stars of the program, and then you were there. Was Middlebrooks with you? Is that the same time when Will Middlebrooks?
Yeah, Middlebrooks was my quarterback.
Yeah, and
he's 1 year older.
And you guys had a showdown games at Lobo Stadium, eventually beat Robinson in the state championship and much more. But just what was that like? Texarkana, I mean, Pleasant Grove recently has been really, really good out of Texarkana. We know about Texas High. What was that like to come out of an area in East Texas that was so hard to win titles?
Ooh, man, I just remember the grind. Because I originally came from Texas. So I went to Texas middle school. I was slated to go to Texas High, but I ended up going to Liberty Hollow because I didn't want to cut my hair, which is crazy because we talk about that right now. But I had like long braids and I was like, I ain't cutting my hair. So they made the rules. So I just went to Liberty Hollow. I knew a couple of kids because Texarkana is small. So I knew a lot of kids that went over there. So once I made that move, they're already a good team and they had a running back. And honestly, I didn't even know what position I'd play just because football wasn't just like a huge priority. I was just playing because I just wanted to play. So I get on the team in 8th grade. And then, we won every game. We won every game, 8th grade, 9th grade. And just that camaraderie with the guys. And once we got to 10th grade with the other guys, like we knew we had a chance, but that was one huge stop in front of us. Even like before the season, when all the books, I forgot what they're called now, the Earl Campbell's book that come out in the summer. Mm-hmm. Is that what it's called? They come out in the summer. And,
yeah.
The days, yeah. And I see, and it's like Liberty Hollow number 3 and Gilmer number 1. They're slated for a first round, match-in. Ain't no way around it. We make it, and we're gonna play them. So the whole year, you're just thinking about that. Like you're playing to get in the playoffs, but like you got a good one coming up.
LaMichael, that state championship game, you beat a team here in Waco Robinson, and it was a fake extra point that won it for you. Do you have memories of that? Like that moment, those things that like it kind of maybe even spurs you on of like, man, that just the thrill of winning a game that way.
Oh yeah, he lined up on the wrong side, the holder.
Oh,
he I don't know what they were thinking. He lined up wrong, and he was like, "Oh, this is a fake." And I don't think it was, no matter what, if he even tried to kick, I don't think he was going to get that ball off. But I do remember that, and that's how we won the game. It was a thriller at SMU. Remember it like it was yesterday. Actually, I remember every game we played throughout that run.
35-34. Obviously, Gilmer, Carthage, teams like that were really, really good. What was, weren't you just unbelievable in the game at Lobo Stadium against Gilmer?
Yeah, I remember it. This is why I know I remember you too, because I was going to Smoaky when I was in high school, and everybody picked Gilmer. And I remember I wrote it. And I don't blame him, man. Even watching highlights of, I tell people all the time, Curtis Brown has to be like the best football player I've ever played against in my entire life. He was that good. And that team was that good. And I remember just going out there on the field with him, and they're in a whole different wavelength. But, a lot of my guys had heart, and we played hard too. So just going out there and, having to play that game, I think it's probably one of the best games in East Texas, in my opinion, that I've been a part of.
Now the coach for Gilmer is the head coach at UTSA.
Yeah, Jeff Traylor.
Jeff Traylor. He's gone up the ranks. Was GJ on that team? I was trying to ask you that.
GJ was with Gilmer. It was
okay.
GJ Kenny.
Yeah. He transferred from Canton.
Right. Was he in that game?
And then he went to Gilmer. Was he in that game, or was he a little bit?
No, he was in there too. They had GJ Kenny. They had Snow. They had Justin Johnson. They had Curtis Brown. They had all the receivers.
Oh man,
They had like 11 Division I kids on that team. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, Justin Johnson went to OU. Snow and Brown went to Texas. Yeah, they were absolutely loaded. GJ went to Texas initially. Yeah,
we had GJ on yesterday, LaMichael. If I'd have known, we didn't get a hold of you till today, but I'd love to have asked him about it. He's now the head coach at Texas State, and they're playing Baylor on Saturday in Waco.
Good dude, man. He's an awesome player too.
So, LaMichael, you accomplished a lot at Oregon, all Pac-12, Doak Walker Award, played for a national title in what was an absolutely thrilling game. Know you came out on the short end of that, but did you ever, once your career was done, think about, what was to come as far as honors and that one day, you were going to be a guy going into the College Football Hall of Fame? Does that stuff cross your mind, or, does that just kind of come out of nowhere and you're blown away by that?
No. You know what? I never chase memories, and I never chase goals. I kind of just let everything happen organically. That way, if you don't reach it, you're not upset. I just try to go out there and be the the best version of me. You know, even with the loss, people asking like, "Oh, you lost this game to like Auburn in the national championship. How did you feel?" I'm like, you know what, man? Like, I went out there and I played as hard as I can. I gave everything I possibly could give that game that day. So coming out in the short end, sometimes it's like that. You know, sometimes you're just going to come out in the short end in life, but you got to keep persevering.
We have a picture. You sent this to me. You're an entrepreneur now, and Garrett's going to put the picture up. Killer Burger, and you are involved in businesses, and you kind of seem to enjoy this. Obviously, this is who you are now. You prepared for life after football and seem to be doing very well. How did you get into this, and how often are you always looking for something else?
Oh man, so I always was wanting to be heavily involved with Oregon. Did a lot of stuff with Nike, did some stuff with real estate. And then I was like, I want to open like a bar. Well, I don't drink and I don't want no 2 a.m. phone calls either. So I was like, maybe not do that. So then I went into this Killer Burger just in a random, I wasn't even in the city I lived in Oregon. And then I was like, look it up. And so happened, I just reached out and it went from if to when. And then it just kind of took off really quick. In a matter of like 4 or 5 years, I have 3 stores and never really envisioned owning a restaurant, whole different ball game. But here I am doing it. Sometimes I look back at this situation and it's much harder than football. And I'm like, wow, you really have 3 legit restaurants in a 4 or 5 year span.
Oh, I'm looking at the menu right now. I'm about to jump on a plane to Oregon. I'm telling you, I love this kind of like, just to describe to our audience that's not in Oregon or looking at this. You guys are like burgers, but you're not just like regular. You've got all kind of it's science here, right, LaMichael?
Yep.
And all these kind of different toppings and different ways you can get them. So yeah, this looks pretty interesting.
Yep.
Yeah,
it is.
So we do have to ask you, look, you're a Hall of Fame Duck, Hall of Fame Oregon Duck. That school is moving to a new conference. You played in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 appears to be done. How do you feel about that, you know, from just a long-term perspective as an alum?
The move?
Yeah.
I feel like it was inevitable. The Pac-12 has been, in my personal opinion, just been a little spacey. I don't know what really happened, but it seems like a leadership thing. I didn't expect it to go to the Big Ten, but, you know, with the landscape of how football is now, it's all about the coin, and, you know, it makes sense. Football-wise, it's easy, but then when you look at the situation of the whole conference, you know, it just seems a bit odd. A lot of travel, you know. What if you got like a basketball team having a conference game and they got to go to, you know, Wisconsin, you know, way over there? It seems a bit odd. I would have liked them to see it go to the Big 12. That seems like a common ground.
That would have been interesting, and I think there was at least that thought that could happen, but it took forever for finally the Pac-12, some schools to join the Big 12. Oregon and Washington, I always thought we're just going to hold out for the Big Ten, and they got what they wanted, and ought to be interesting. Man, you sound happy. Love the pictures you sent to me. Love the memories. I know you say you don't chase all that, but, man, you put up a bunch of them. As Craig said, the Doak Walker Award winner and so much more. Proud of what you've done, LaMichael, and where you have been and where you are now. It's a great story, and we appreciate you, and congratulations on the Hall of Fame. That is just fantastic.
I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me on, and anybody out there listening, this guy is great. Always, you know, show love to my school and just was real about everything. And it's great just to show love back to East Texas. Such a great part of Texas, man. It's the best part, in my opinion.
Very unique area, no question. LaMichael James, Hall of Fame running back. He'll be inducted into a class that has just some massive names in it, including one we'll have on a little bit later on in Michael Bishop of Kansas State.
Yeah, he had an incredible career.